Good morning, my loves. Okay, so we're back for another one. And I want to talk about something that is really important to me and something that's been brought to my attention. First of all, I want to say that I always encourage everyone to honor their truth, honor how they feel, and express that truth with grace, okay? And to be unapologetically you. That is everything that I stand for. And quite frankly, I don't know how to be anything other than me. That doesn't mean that I don't care what people think sometimes in certain areas. But for me, I'm going to be exactly who I am. And if not, then I won't show up or I'll hide, right? But if you, I am not going to pretend to be happy or joyful in a video if I'm not feeling it in that moment. Because you can put on a happy face, but what you're feeling inside is going to come through, especially to people that are sensitive. So yeah, I wanted to mention that first, and I want to talk about what sacred means for me, to me, my thoughts, beliefs, and I don't really like the word opinion, but my thoughts, beliefs, and I suppose my opinion around what is sacred. And I think I want to touch upon containment. So in my classes, I encourage liberation, I encourage authenticity, I encourage empowerment, I encourage feeling good in your body, I encourage feeling pleasure in your body. Because that's what the whole point of yoga is, to feel what you're feeling in that moment without judgment, without trying to control it, okay? And so in my classes, you will hear me sigh a lot of primal sighs, a lot of the sighs are maybe sexual in the way that they sound. They could be considered a moan to some people. And I encourage that, and I will not apologize for that at all. At all. Because do you know how good it is to honor whatever you're feeling in that moment and to sigh? When you're using sound to sigh out stress, it is incredibly healing. It's one of the most loving things that you can do for yourself. So I teach it, I encourage it, and I'm not sorry for it, nor will I change that. If that bothers you, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, I completely understand and I respect that. And I want you to honor that. I appreciate that you're honoring how you feel. But I'm not going to change that. And again, I'm not going to apologize for it. Because I do support containment. Look, guys, if people started taking their clothes off and self-pleasuring in a way that's not PG or PG-13, I would of course step in. That to me is proper containment. But I am not going to encourage anybody to inhibit what they are feeling in that moment because it's considered inappropriate or too sexual. Look, guys and girls, if it bothers you or if it turns you on and that's why it bothers you, that's not my responsibility, right? And what else? There's so much that I feel around this topic. I think also, again, I want to touch back on sexual oppression of women. If a whole bunch of men are groaning in a room when they're exercising, is there going to be a conversation about that's too much, you need to contain yourself? Not so much. Not so much. I think it's particularly related to women, and especially with Kundalini Yoga, we are working with sexual energy. If you are holding back what you are feeling in that moment, you are stagnating. And I do not support that. I do not support that. That's going against what I feel like all of yoga stands for. I also want to say, if you've gone to a Kundalini activation process, there is absolutely no inhibition in that. And that's precisely why it is so healing. So what is the difference between that and a yoga class? A yoga class is the time to work the shit out, people. So if you come to my class, there will be primal sighing, there will be giggles. There will be some moaning. There will be connecting with your pleasure. And you don't have to come to my class if you don't like it. Okay? But that's what, I think that the most sacred thing that you can do is be yourself. Honor what's coming up for you organically. I'm not sure if I said this again, if I said this before, but if I say it again, that means that it just needs to be reinforced. Okay? When we deny our humanity and what is naturally human, that's what feeds darkness, that's what feeds shadows, and that's what turns people into monsters. So this whole thing that I'm expressing right now is also about doing shadow work. I want to use religion as an example, and I hope that I'm not wanting to be condescending or offensive in any way. I'm just sharing how I personally feel, okay? In Catholicism, they talk about like, it's a sin to have impure thoughts. That right there alone is saying that your humanity is gross and disgusting. So you're going to need to hide that if you feel that. So you're going to need to hide what is natural and healthy. It is healthy to have fantasy, to have sexual attraction. Telling men that they cannot get married and abstain from sex for their entire life, guess what that did? Guess what that did? I think that that's pretty obvious. Denying what is human creates darkness. And it contributed to thousands of children getting abused, raped, so many different things. That is what happens because we want things to be appropriate. And it contributes to making everybody feel shame, not just women, but women in particular. And I'm not here for it, and I won't stand for it. And I want to thank my mom for, even though I dress pretty conservatively sometimes, you guys, like, I personally enjoy a little mystery. I like to have a little mystery when I'm wearing. Like, I am definitely embracing the sexiness more in public. I embrace my sexiness behind, you know what I mean? But, yeah, so even though I tend to be a little conservative and things like that, I am not sexually repressed, and I have no problem talking about sex. And I have my mom to thank for that. Even though it was a little uncomfortable when she would talk about it when we were kids, I thank her because she didn't make it like this dirty, gross thing. And we talked about it. And that's healthy, right? Oh my God, I want to make sure that I like get all of my thoughts out about this. So I talked about religion and giving that example that of what happens when we deny our humanity and make it bad. I talked about how it's kind of like worse for women. Oh, I want to talk about, if it bothers you, guys, if it annoys you, then there's a shadow there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay? If it bothers you, there's something inside of you that is either repressed or being denied or not being accepted and loved into integration and wholeness. Okay? That's something really, really, really important to consider. We really want to make sure that we are taking responsibility for how we're triggered. And we are all going to get triggered, guys, but the more you meditate and the more you allow things and the more you don't try to hide them and you accept them, you're loving yourself more, and you will be able to say, I'm triggered right now. That actually kind of triggered me, without reacting. You're voicing what's coming up. You're not denying, I'm not triggered, I'm not this, I'm not that. You guys, let's all own who and what we are and how we feel. This is how the world will shift fast. This is how we're going to heal fast. It's all this repression, suppression, oppression that is causing physical dis-ease and illness in the body. And so many different general, I don't want to use the word general, but there are so many different ways that we view things that just don't work. And they make people feel like shit about themselves. Yeah, guys, so for me, The most sacred thing that you can do is honor what's coming through in your body. I will always empower and encourage women to connect with their pleasure, especially in a yoga class. And containment for me is like, we're not having a when Harry met Sally moment in class, okay? But we are absolutely going to have giggles, and we are going to have primal sighs, and if it's sexy, you're welcome. And so what? So that's how I feel. I hope that well, again, it's out of my control whether this offends anybody. I know that I've communicated this with a lot of grace. Your girl is a long video type of gal. And right now, guys, we are all being encouraged because we speak things into creation. So watch what you're saying, watch how you're communicating it, but please, by all means, communicate and express yourselves, because we are all adding to creation, we are all adding to reality by taking a stand for what we believe in, but also being tolerant of people having opposing views. I am so down for agree to disagree. Like, I love a good discourse, people. I don't shy away from a debate. I love that sort of thing. Actually, it gets me, like, really fired up in a good way. But anyways, that's how I feel, guys, okay? Don't express your sexuality, your sensuality, especially if you're women. If people don't like it or have a problem with it, that's not your problem. It's theirs. And I love you guys. Here's to facing collective shadows, busting through societal norms that are just bullshit, not serving anyone, and just, like, stupid. I mean, not that I want to call it stupid, because how you feel and what you think and what you believe is not stupid, but is it serving you? Is it serving the collective? Is it serving the world? That's something you may want to ask yourself. Okay, 12 minutes. This is it. I love you guys. Have a good day. Be yourself. Be yourself no matter what. People will either deal with it or they won't. And ladies, don't be afraid of your pleasure. Or I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to inspire you to feel good about expressing your sensuality and your sexuality, because that's what it means to be feminine. Okay? Now, okay, one last thing that I will add is that hypersexuality and vulgarity, again, people are doing that because that's what their soul needs. That's what's going to empower them. That's what's going to feel right for them. So by all means, do that. But I will say that there is a line between, or if you really want to be in your feminine energy, yes, we can be sexy and sensual, but if it's like kind of in your face sexuality, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But that is a masculine expression, okay? That is a masculine expression. So I think that that's something I think a lot of people get confused about. But look, if your masculine's wanting to be expressed, fucking just let it happen. Let it happen. And I'll see you guys in the next one.